Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to be going over this week's slate of NFL games and predicting who's going to come out on top in each game. Before we get started though, please drop a quick like and a sub on today's video. It would really help my channel grow. I'd really appreciate that. With that said, let's dive right into the video and I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to be going through our week 9 NFL predictions. We're going to be highlighting all the games and just determining who's going to come out on top, who's going to end up losing in week 9. Sorry that, my channel's been kind of low lately. Haven't been able to post too many videos. Have a lot of stuff going on, applying to college, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to try and get back on that. But yeah, so sorry for the lack of content. But let's just dive right in here. Jets at Colts, Thursday Night Football. Jets, they looked like they had something last week. They beat the Bengals, really big win for them. Obviously, with the backup quarterback, they were still able to get the job done. And the Colts, kind of ended up losing a heartbreaker. Carson Wentz made some fatal errors down the stretch. 2 interceptions in that game that really cost them the win. But I think that they'll bounce back against this Jets team. I really like where this Colts defense is at, especially run defense-wise. They really did a very good job against Derrick Henry last week. Didn't allow him to control the game. In the most part, and that really allowed them to have a lot of success in that game. So I think if they're able to control the run game, especially with the Jets, with Michael Carter, and do what they do and do what they've been doing all season with Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman, who had a really big game, I think that they'll be able to beat the Jets on Thursday Night Football. So let's give the Colts the win here. Now this is an interesting game here. You've got the Texans and you got the Dolphins. A winnable game for both teams. I think the Dolphins have to have the edge though. At home, this is a game you have to win if you're the Miami Dolphins. If you're Brian Flores, it's a game that you have to win if you want your job. Texans are the worst team in the NFL. They have the least amount of talent on their team. Davis Mills is not doing anything at quarterback. And other than Brandon Cooks, there aren't a lot of pieces on this team that are really worth saving. Obviously, with the whole Deshaun Watson situation, there's a big mess. It's a really big mess. So I think the Dolphins will get the win as they go back home and they try and bounce back after a tough loss last week against Buffalo. Now though, let's go to, if this will ever let me click it. Now let's go to the Browns and the Bengals. And with the Browns and the Bengals, this is going to be a good matchup. I think the Browns played a pretty solid game last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Couldn't get the job done though. And the Bengals are coming off a tough loss. However, I like the Bengals in this one. I think that they've been playing really good football. And even against the Jets, sure, they lost against the Jets, but they put up 31 points. Their offense was still really, really dynamic and dominant. Their running game was effective. Throwing the football was effective. I think they'll come back, and get a win against the Browns. So now though, let's look at the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think it's going to be another interesting game. Obviously, the Jags had a pretty tough time last week against Seattle, losing 31-7. That was a game where Geno Smith, I thought, did a really good job in that game. Really threw the football effectively for that team. But I mean, the Jags are another team at the bottom of the NFL. They have not had a lot of bright spots this season anywhere on the roster. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked very good at all. James Robinson's probably been one of the lone bright spots of this team. And Buffalo's playing some really good football. They were able to pull away from Miami in the third and fourth quarter last week, and really put a complete 60-minute effort in that game, and were able to get the win. The Jags, they just haven't been relevant all year, and Buffalo is one of the best teams in the league. I think this is another easy pick here. Now we've got the Broncos and the Dallas Cowboys. For me, it's going to be interesting if Dak Prescott gets back. I think Dak Prescott ends up getting back. And sure, the Cowboys kind of struggled without Prescott in the last game against Minnesota. But, with Denver also beating Washington, I think that they have some momentum too. But I think if Dak is back, that offense is going to be too much for Denver to handle. Now, though, sorry for the kind of bad Wi-Fi. Looks like it's a little glitching. The Patriots and the Panthers, I mean, these are two teams that had some pretty solid games this week. And let me just check where those scores were at. Yeah, Carolina won 19-13 against Atlanta, and obviously the Patriots got the nail biter against the Chargers, 27-24. Two pretty big wins for both teams, and two wins that get those teams moving forward. But I think that the Patriots have got to be the favorite in this one, even away from home. I don't know how confident I feel in Sam Darnold against a really good defense in this Patriots defense. It's a defense that's getting overlooked. Bill Belichick is always going to be coaching good defenses, but this Patriots defense is legit. I like the speed that they have, and I like the athleticism they have. And I know that the Panthers, they have been able to figure things out without Christian McCaffrey. Will he be back next week? We'll see. But overall, I think the Patriots have a really good shot to win this game. Now we got the Raiders and the Giants. I think that the Raiders coming off the bye are going to be healthy. They're going to be back, and they're going to be a little bit prepped. Obviously, John Gruden a few weeks ago, no longer the coach of the Raiders. That is what it is. But I think after the Giants have been a really rough start to the season and a game last week against the Chiefs, I think the Raiders they got to be the favorites in this one. I know that they're away from home, but they're against the Giants who are banged up. And I just think that the Raiders get the win here, especially coming off the bye. They're going to be feeling good. They're going to be feeling well rested, and they're one of the better teams in the league anyway. And I think it's similar to the situation coming up here with the Minnesota Vikings and the Baltimore Ravens. Similar storyline. I thought Minnesota played okay against that Dallas Cowboys team last week, but the Ravens coming off the bye, were well rested. Especially a good run team against a Minnesota Vikings defensive line that has been kind of iffy against the run this season. I'm gonna give Baltimore the win here. I think that they're the team that gets the edge. Maybe it's a little bit of a surprise. The Chargers losing last week against the Patriots, the Eagles winning a massive game against the Detroit Lions. Big win for them. I think that the Eagles win this game, and that might be a little bit of a shocker. I think the Chargers are definitely the better team, but the Eagles are going to be riding high, or flying high, I should say, after that win against Detroit, where they did everything. They threw the ball effectively, they ran the ball effectively, they controlled the game. Their defense played really well. I thought that overall they played a complete game, and they were able to win that game because of that defensive effort and that strong, especially run game. I thought Boston Scott played well. And I think that the Eagles, coming off that big win, 44-6, I think they'll get the job done against the Chargers. Now we've got an interesting game: the Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs at home. This is a team that has been really all over the place this year. I mean, they're a team that's been up and down, inside and out. But for me, I think the Packers get the win. I just don't think the Chiefs have this time and time again this year. The Chiefs have not shown up against the big teams. They didn't play well against Tennessee. They didn't play well against Buffalo. And the Packers are arguably better than Tennessee and Buffalo. I mean, they're up there in that conversation with them. I don't think that they're better than Buffalo. I think that they're better than Tennessee. But overall, this is a team that is really, really, really good in the Green Bay Packers. And especially if they get some of those receivers back from injury. Obviously, last week they really had Randall Cobb, and that's about it. But if they get some of those receivers back from injury, look out for the Packers, because I think they can make some noise against that Chiefs team that's really struggled this year. Now we've got the Titans and the Rams. The Rams, for me, are arguably the best team in football. I think that they're really in that conversation. They're running the ball effectively. They're throwing the ball effectively. They've got the league's best receiver this year in Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford is playing some awesome football right now. More importantly, though, they can score from anywhere on the field, and they're super efficient offensively. And especially if Tennessee has troubles running the ball like they did last week, I think that the Rams are going to be able to have some success against a Titans team that's really good. And I still think the Rams will be able to just put up more points. Now, though, let's go to the Bears and the Steelers. Steelers came up with a win last week, and that was because of their defense. You got to credit their defense. But I really like some of the flashes I saw from Justin Fields in that game against the 49ers. Sure, still up and down so far this year, but that was a performance where I was like, okay, I see what Justin Fields is about. He had one really, really nice touchdown run. And is that enough to take him over the Steelers? I think I'm going to take the Bears in this one. I think the Steelers are probably the favorites. They're probably the team that more people are going to expect to win because they somehow find ways to win games. They're not a really good team, but they find ways to win games. But I like what I saw from Justin Fields last week at times, and I think that maybe he gets the job done against the Steelers. Now, these are two more good games, two division games here. We've got the Falcons and the Saints, and we've got the Cardinals and the 49ers. Let's start with the Falcons and the Saints. The Saints, obviously, massive win against the Bucs last week. Jameis Winston, injury. Tough situation at quarterback. But it's still you're going up against the Falcons. And when you've got Alvin Kamara, maybe Michael Thomas comes back, I still think you got the edge. And defensively, you're able to limit Tom Brady and beat Tom Brady's Bucs. So, with that said, I like them in this game. I really do. The Falcons' defense is really, really rough, and whoever's playing quarterback for the Saints, depends if it's Taysom Hill, depends if it's Trevor Siemian, it depends with the Taysom Hill injury. I think the Saints will be able to get the job done just because of how bad that Atlanta Falcons defenses, and more importantly, they only scored 13 points against a Carolina defense that has been good this year, but I still think that they could have put up more points. Also, remember Calvin Ridley, stepping away from football for a little bit, so I think the Saints get the win. And then here it's the Cardinals and the 49ers. And I think the Cardinals bounce back. I mean, they're arguably a top 5 team in football. They are a top 5 team in football. And the 49ers, they did beat the Bears last week. But I think the Cardinals are going to be too much. And I think that's because their offense is ridiculous. It really is. They can score from anywhere on the field. They're great run game, great passing game. They're the complete package. I think that's going to be too much for the 49ers at home. So those are going to round up my picks for the week.
And with that said, that's pretty much going to end the video for today. Did you agree with my analysis? Why or why not? Leave your comments and thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Also, if you're new around here, please drop a like and a sub on today's video. I'd really appreciate that. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, see ya.